Hello, I'm Rick Anthony, and this is Caregiver Assist, a 12-part series of, by, and for unpaid family caregivers, inspired by my own experience as a caregiver for my late wife. In this series, we talk with experts in the field as well as caregivers who are willing to share their journey with us. When I was caring for my wife, my family, friends, and my doctor admonished me to take some time off for myself. You have no idea how long her condition will continue, they said, so take care of yourself so you're fit enough to take care of her. There was no arguing with the logic, but there was no time for exercise or taking walks or going to the gym or even getting a good night's sleep. She needed me and nothing else mattered. I could handle it. Besides, I felt guilty leaving her. It was hard seeing things rationally at that time. Each day was like the last, unless it was in the emergency room or the observation section of the hospital, or talking to another medical specialist who asked the same questions that had been asked of us before. My wife became sick of it. I now wonder if I had taken some time off, might I have been more tolerant, more understanding, more patient, and more empathetic. I may have been able to help her laugh, even when there wasn't any humor in what she was experiencing. Of course, that's all 20/20 hindsight. I know I could have done better, but whether exercising or meditating or going for quiet walks would have helped, I don't know for sure. My guest today, Addison Lerner-Lentz, believes a regimen of self-care would have helped. Addison is owner and director of pain relief and physical therapy in Havertown, Pennsylvania. She graduated from Utica College with a BS in health studies and a doctorate in physical therapy. Welcome, Addison. Pleasure to have you. I was looking forward to really having you here for this series because the subject of self-care has come up before, and we've had, I think, one other person talking about it. She even wrote a book about it.
Okay.
And I know from my experience just studying caregiving and talking with a lot of other people, the importance of caregiving. Mm-hmm. But I also know from people who train caregivers that the biggest problem they have is the caregivers say, I don't have the time. Mm-hmm. I don't have the time to even watch a video. I'm tired. I'm just worn out. I don't have the time. Mm-hmm. I know from what you've told me, and in full disclosure, Addison is my physical therapist. She cranks and pushes and does all kinds of stuff to make my body hurt less, even though it hurts more when I leave her studio. Anyway, I know from talking to those people how difficult it is to take time off for yourself, as important as it is. You told me that you have people who come into your studio who are caregivers, and they come to you because they need relief from the stress and the physical pain and stuff. And so I thought it would be instructive if you could come on and tell us about that, what you know, what you've experienced, and how you've helped other people. So let's begin with, from your standpoint, what is self-care for caregivers?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here. But to answer your question, it is extremely important to take care of yourself. A lot of the times the patients that end up in our clinic are the ones who haven't taken that time, and it's just become overbearing and it's too late. So they get the back pain, they get the leg pain, they feel, as you said, they feel weak, they feel tired. So the first thing that I do with them is I try to just sit down and have a conversation with them, just explaining how important it is for self-care. Self-care doesn't mean you have to take hours out of your day. It really does mean if you can set aside 20 to 30 minutes a day just for you, it's going to be the most beneficial thing you could do. So even if it's asking a family member or a neighbor or someone to come over just for 20 minutes in the middle of the day, just so you can take that time, it's definitely worth it. It's not an easy thing to do for sure, just because, like you said, you feel you want to be there for your loved one, which is totally understandable. I watched my mom and her sisters do it for their mom, so it's not an easy thing. But if you can try to figure out the way to put that in, then it definitely becomes helpful. So that way it reduces the stress on your own body, it reduces the pain that can come along with it, and overall just makes you feel better. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a long, you could even start with 5-10 minutes a day and build up to that 30 minutes, whether it's first thing in the morning or night or in the middle of the afternoon. It definitely is the best thing you can do, because if you're not at your best, it makes it that much more difficult to take care of the person that you love. So
as little as 10, 15, even 20 minutes a day can make a big difference?
it absolutely can. So it's just a matter of just trying to reduce the stresses in that area. So as you know, just with our treatment sessions, I try to give exercises at home that are feasible to do in a short amount of time. So that way it's not taking up hours of your day. It's stuff that you could do every couple of hours. You could do 5 or 6 of this exercise at this time, 5 or 6 at that time, or you could do it all at once, right before you go to bed or right when you wake up to get just that little bit that you need.
When you know you have a client who is a caregiver, do you have a special routine for him or her?
I actually don't. I do it based on necessity because not every single person is the same. So I really listen to what it is that they tell me and based on their needs. So if someone comes in and they tell me that this is their situation at home, this is what they have, I really try to make my exercise regimen very specific to that patient's needs.
Okay. Explain the effect on the body of physical exercise with the endorphins and all the other chemical things going on. How does that work? And why does only 10 or 15 minutes trigger
that much of a difference?
Yeah.
So it's the genetic makeup of our body. So it has been scientifically proven that just going for a simple walk, it could be 5 or 10 minutes at a time, it just helps just change your mood in general. So it releases endorphins, but it also releases neurotransmitters that release serotonin. So serotonin is an extremely important part in your body that affects mood. So if you're able to release those endorphins to change that mood in just a short amount of time, it just makes you feel a little bit better. Which is why, and walking is probably the least physical activity that you could do that becomes helpful. So it's less pounding, it's not stressful, it's just a great way to relax and clear your head. So like I said, studies have been done that proves that just a simple walk, even if it's a 10-minute walk, is enough to release those endorphins and neurotransmitters to help change your mood.
Well, maybe you just answered the question. Why is walking the best exercise? As an older gentleman, my doctor keeps telling me, if you do nothing else, just get out and take a walk. And I'm just beginning to do that. And in our community, it's downhill the first part, it's uphill coming back. And I can feel the difference in my legs and even my heart rate.
So the downhill is going to be a little bit easier because momentum is going to take you, whereas uphill obviously is going to be slightly more of a challenge because different muscles have to work and engage. So your heart rate's going to spike. It's going to cause shortness of breath. So all those different spikes in heart rate, spikes in just breath quality is going to make your body work harder. So the more you work, the more blood pumps through your body. The more blood that pumps through your body, then it loosens things up. It forces, it's the transmitters between the blood, heart, brain kind of connection. So it triggers, like if I'm working here, then something up in my head needs to be triggered a little bit more to help this move smoother. So, like I said, the more blood that pumps through your body brings more oxygen to your body, which overall in turn kind of just helps with everything.
Yeah, you've been talking about it, but specifically, could you explain the connection between mind and body?
Mind and body, of course. So, mind and body you would think a simple connection, but it's not a simple connection. So if you are in a mind frame of, I can't do this, then your body follows that same connection. So if you're tired, exhausted, depressed, anxious, your body kind of tends to follow that same pathway. And it's just because of how we're wired. It's all through brain. So brain sends signals throughout the body, which is why walking, which releases that serotonin, affects mood, or going for a run, same idea, it just brings it on a little bit quicker. It just becomes, if you can change that, you can change how you feel. So that connection becomes, if I tell myself every day that I can't do this, your body's going to start to think that I can't do this, and it's going to slowly start to regress. So your strength will start to decline. Your physical capability, such as going for a walk or getting out of bed or doing those things, starts to decline. Whereas if you can wake up and within that 5-10 minutes do something to release those transmitters to say, oh, I can do this, then your body starts to follow that same suit, because it's easier to go for a walk. It's easier to get out of the chair. It's easier to go for that 10-minute walk.
So you can talk your way into it?
You can. It turns into more of that functional day-to-day activity, for sure.
some caregivers are on antidepressants or other medications. How do you, and if they share that with you when they come to see you, how do you deal with that? What effect does that have on the willingness and the ability to exercise?
So I look at it the same way as if someone was to walk in kind of post-surgery. So you walk in post-surgical in the clinic, usually you're on pain medication, and pain medication can affect your mood, it can affect your sleep, it can affect all of those aspects. It makes you a little bit loopy. Some antidepressants and anxiety medications have that same effect. You don't like the way that you feel on it. So it becomes that same kind of fine line where it says, if you walk into my clinic post-surgery and I know you're on these pain pills, I'm going to do whatever I can to get you off those pain pills quicker to change the way that you feel. So I kind of address it the exact same way. If you don't like taking the medication, let's take it until you feel like you can slowly start to wean off of it. So we start to slowly progress exercises, just like post-surgical. I'm going to slowly start to progress exercises. And as you start to feel better in one way, you can start to wean off that medication in another way. Again, you kind of hit the nail on the head, though. It's the willingness to want to be able to do it. So
somehow there's a conflict in here. I mean, I think I know you would like to see your clients at least twice a week. Going back to the basic problem, caregivers don't have the time twice a week to come because it's a full hour or more.
It is, yep.
To get there, to go through a 30-minute routine or so on. In some cases, that's a lot of time. I know in my case, an hour would have been a lot of time. I had to get somebody to come in, one of the family, just so I could go food shopping.
Correct.
So how do you accommodate that situation?
So if at all capable or able, I actually see if they're able to bring their significant other to the clinic. Sometimes it's just helpful to get that person out of the house so that way they can just see a different environment, and if they feel comfortable just being in a different atmosphere for even 30 minutes, I will say go ahead and bring them along. We can go into a separate room.
Bring who along?
The person that you're taking care of. So if it's someone who is able to leave the house, I say, please bring them along. Let them come in. We can put you in a different private room. We can do our session together. We can make it as short as 30 minutes. We can make it as long as you want, as long as they feel like they can sit there. Also, with that being said, it kind of sometimes helps with the person that they're taking care of as well. It's a different environment. They get to see different things. They get to talk to different people. If they're willing and able. And sometimes I'll get them involved in the treatment or the care. I'll have them help out whoever it is that I am treating just to get them kind of excited about something. And then it allows that caregiver the time to do what they need to do to benefit themselves, but then they don't feel guilty because they have their significant other with them. If they can't bring them along with them, I try to give them a very specific program that I know that they'd be able to kind of add into their daily routine.
Stretching, I guess, is the least, the least, you expend the least exertion, other than resistance exercise. But stretching, those wonderful bands that hurt after the sixth time, why is stretching so good for us? And if there's nothing else we can do, why is stretching so beneficial?
So stretching becomes extremely beneficial because we tense up as people. So a lot of the times if we are anxious, if we're stressed, if we're depressed, we tend to bottle everything up. So our posture changes. We tend to elevate our shoulders. We tend to round our shoulders. We hunch over. And even when we sit, we tend to lean forward. So anything we can do to open those pathways up, you're going to feel a lot better because it goes along with this exercise. It's a easier, simpler way to stretch, release those endorphins, release those serotonin levels to make you feel better. It just helps you feel looser, open up, and then makes it easier to do those daily functional activities.
Stretching has the same effect with releasing endorphins?
It can. So I know, I can tie into, so it's the same as like yoga. So people ask, is yoga beneficial versus going for a run or versus going to lift weights? Or it's not about how much you push yourself, it's about the quality of what you do. So you don't need to go for a 30-minute run to feel like you've accomplished something. That's why that 10-minute walk or that 10 to 15 minutes of yoga is just as beneficial as that 30 to 60-minute run. It's not how hard you push yourself, it's the quality of what you do in that time.
I have a friend, I interviewed him, as a matter of fact. He lost his wife after she suffered from Lewy body dementia, the worst kind, for 4 years. Anyway, he really believes in yoga. I mean, it's a way of life for him. I mean, he will stand on his head, I guess that's it, for a long time, with the blood rushing to his brain and so on. But yoga to me is the lotus position with the legs folded like a Bavarian pretzel.
Correct.
I can't do that. So what else is yoga?
So this is kind of a misconception of yoga. So the lotus position is more of that meditative type position that they tell you to put yourself in. I also cannot sit in that position. I just physically can't. But if that is something you want to do, you can sit up on blocks. So you can get like a wedge or pillows, and it changes the angles of your hips to allow you to get into a similar type position. So that way you're able to do that. But yoga is kind of a great exercise to do because you can incorporate so many things with it. So yoga, as I just said, you can incorporate meditation, you can incorporate breathing, you can incorporate just mindfulness in general. So there are so many different forms of yoga out there. There truly is a mindfulness yoga, which the entire time it's based through meditation. So you're sitting for prolonged periods of time, just in different settings, thinking about different things. So taking those nice, slow, deep breaths in. So it'd be like a in through your nose, out through your mouth, repetition as you're maintaining a specific posture or position. There's hot yoga, which they put you into a hot room to get you just to sweat, because some people like to just feel that sweat, and you're just doing various stretches. And there's different levels of yoga. So there's advanced, there's moderate, and there's beginner. Beginner is more simple, like a child's pose or a cobra pose, tree pose. So those are just simple, gentle stretches that allow you to just hang in a position for a prolonged period of time, taking those breaths. And so a lot of times those rhythmical breaths help you just clear your head, just because you start focusing on your breathing versus what's actually going on. So that's why I always tell in through your nose, out through your mouth.
Why is breathing so important? What I mean is, again, my late wife, she had a pulmonary problem. And we went to 3 different specialists because she had a hard time breathing. And nobody could come up. It was idiopathic.
Okay.
She had symptoms, but nobody, I mean, even the specialists didn't know what it was. So they said, you probably should go into a routine of some kind, and they'll teach you how to breathe. And she's, I've been breathing for 80-some years. I know how to breathe, to the point. Most people don't know how to breathe.
No.
We all breathe shallow breathing, right?
Correct. Most of the time, it's a really quick, short.
Yeah.
And when you do that, especially when we're anxious, nervous, or when you exercise, so when you do that, you aren't getting the full expansion of your lungs. So you're not utilizing every space. So as we get older, unfortunately, if you're not utilizing every space of your lungs, you can have a buildup of fluid. You see that a lot of times with patients who suffer from COPD. Because of it, you see this shallow breath. You see all of your muscles up here. So you see your external accessory muscles. So you see this type breathing. And when you notice that, it's because your diaphragm and the other lobes of your lungs aren't fully expanding. That's why that nice slow in through your nose, out through your mouth, it forces everything to really, truly get to every aspect of your lungs to reduce that tension. It also helps circulate, so it affects everything as well. So it helps with the blood circulation through your body. So if you're not breathing, then things aren't pushing to where they need to go. It becomes the whole, everything's just so connected that if one chain's not working, it starts to affect the other chain, which affects the other chain.
So breathing combined with meditation, not necessarily yoga, not necessarily.
Correct.
But that combination, for it's hard to meditate, to really clear your mind.
Absolutely.
So you can be at peace for some short period of time.
Correct.
Does breathing help to get you in the proper mindset?
It does. That's actually one of the things that I will go over with my patients, just because you tend to start to focus on that. So it's one of those things where it's natural for us to breathe. It's natural. It's what we do. Like your wife said, it's what we do every day of our lives. You have to do it to survive. But it is not something that you think about or focus on. So if you're able to think about those deep breaths and just tell yourself that over and over, or think about, okay, I'm just going to place my hands on my abdomen. Can I take that breath in, feel my stomach kind of rescend, and then breathe out, push it out into my hands? You start to focus on what are my hands doing? What am I doing? And it kind of helps you more or less. You're not thinking about what you were thinking, because it's like, oh, I need to put these connections together.
I think the other thing is most of us, myself, I don't breathe from my diaphragm. If I take a deep breath, it's usually my chest.
Correct.
Rather than pushing it down into my diaphragm. And that takes a certain discipline.
It absolutely does, and it's something that I do specifically teach at my clinic, because, as you said, it's getting the inhale is easy. It's that exhale and trying to figure out how to fully get it to expand through the lung is the challenge. And that's why if you teach that along with wanting to meditate, you really start to focus on that, and it helps just kind of calm you down.
But if you do it properly, inhale and then blow it out as long as you can, you get lightheaded.
You can. So I only have you do about one breath every minute. So if you're going to do it for 5 minutes, it's one of those things where you do about a breath every minute, and then see how you kind of recover from that, because it does take a long time to exhale that air. So how well do you recover from that to get to the next breath?
Let me give you a scenario. You got a 46-year-old woman. She's married with kids. Let's call her Mary. Her care-dependent, bedridden 65-year-old mother is upstairs in the back bedroom. One window, poor television reception, not much she can't read. Mary works 3 days a week, loves her job. The extra money is helpful as well. But she's afraid she's not going to be able to keep the job because she has to be home. And there are times when she gets a call and she has to rush from her job to go home to her mother. She's depressed, she's tired, she's physically worn out. I just described some people I know who have called me as a result of seeing the series and explained their situations. And some of them can be really bad, especially when you're dealing long distance. I had one woman call me. She lives in Portland. Her mother and father are in Hawaii. Okay. They're both one is in a Alzheimer's facility, and the other is too sick to take care of. Anyway, she's on antidepressant. She's seeing a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I've forgotten. I mean, she's in a bad way. Anyway, that person comes to you, stressed out, no time to do anything. What do you do for her?
So the first thing I honestly do is
Do you refer her to somebody else?
I don't. I just listen. I mean, part of my job is honestly just listening. Sometimes you just need someone to talk to. So that first session that they come into the clinic, it honestly just might me be there sitting and just listening to them and letting them talk, because sometimes that's what you need, because you feel like you can't talk to anybody else. No. I'm a stranger. You don't know who I am. So my job is to make you feel comfortable and feel like you can trust me. So I will let you just talk and tell me anything that you need to know. And then it gives me a better idea of truly who that person is, but it also allows me to figure out what I think they can and can't do. So if the entire first session is just having them talk to me, I have them talk to me, and I end it with a breathing exercise or a simple stretch, or I actually tell people to read a book. Even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes of reading a book, sometimes it's enough time where it just, you become that character. You get to be engrossed in that book. So for those 5-10 minutes, you don't have any other thought but what you're reading. Sometimes it's enough to kind of just be like, oh, I can do this. Sometimes you need more. And then I kind of build upon that.
And you think that'll work, huh?
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, to be perfectly honest. So,
well, that's fine. That's one session. How do you follow up? And if you can't follow up in person, that is, they can't come in.
Correct.
Do you follow up with them either email or telephone to keep the connection? I
do. So if I don't see a patient in a week, I call them or I email them. 9 times out of 10, I call them because I find it more personable. And if it's a simple conversation on the phone, sometimes a 10-minute conversation gives them enough time to realize that I can get them back in to do another session. I actually have an example. I had a woman probably about a month ago. So she was taking care of her disabled husband, and she was supposed to come in for an evaluation and canceled. And she wasn't on my schedule. She was on one of my other therapist schedules, but I picked up the phone because I had my receptionist was explaining the situation, and I called her. And within that 10 minutes, I was able to get her rescheduled. I got her in the clinic, and she came probably 10 times and was feeling significantly better. It was hard. She had to cancel a couple of appointments because of her husband, but she was able to make it work. And she left feeling better and felt like she had a better understanding and control of what she could do.
I think a lot of people think in order to do a routine at home rather than come to the clinic or to a gym, you have to have a lot of equipment. You have to have stuff that goes like that and dumbbells and you don't need all that, do you?
No, not at all. Again, I tend to give exercises that I know people have in their house. A lot of the times it's simple body weight exercises, or I'll cut them a band or give them something they can stretch with. Again, it's not about how heavy or how intense you do something. It's about just how controlled you can do it. So if you have a pillow at home and I want you to do a pillow squeeze, or if you have a dog leash at home and I want you to stretch out, those are all simple things that you can do on a regular that are going to help you feel better.
I have all that stuff. I don't use it. I have the bands. I have the big ball for all the things that you do in the clinic. And I can't get the motivation to do it. I mean, now I'm alone, but it's still, there's no motivation to do it. So next time I come in, beat me up. Hey,
I can do that.
There should be a report card of some kind.
There should be. I'll send you home with a checklist every single day. When you come in, I'll show me which ones you did and didn't do.
With points or something.
Exactly.
Again, I go back to time and what I've heard from people who train caregivers and work with caregivers. It's hard to get around. It really is. If you haven't slept the night before because you have to stay awake a little bit to be vigilant, and you're trying to do errands and so on, and then always preparing, anticipating the unexpected. Something's going to happen. You're going to be calling 911 or something. That's the life you live for an extended period of time. I'm not quite sure what you can do for someone like that, truly. Even if they want to do it. And again, I have talked to people who said they started the routine or they started coming in or we started the training program and they said, I just don't have the time or I'm too tired to do it. Even to sit in front of a computer for 5 or 10 minutes for a video tutorial.
Correct. So my job, our job as healthcare providers is to really try to figure out a way to make it fun, to make it useful, to make it functional, more or less. So if I know that you have that 45 minutes that you're going to run to the grocery store, I'm going to try to figure out how I can get you to do some sort of exercise or activity while you're at the grocery store. They're simple. So a good example is like just contracting your core. So we call it a transverse abdominis contraction. It's really great for low back pain. So if you're pushing the cart through the grocery store, I'm going to have you go ahead and try to do that exercise for me. If you're standing in line waiting to check out, again, this is low back pain specific, but you could do a pelvic tilt. So you could do where you're kind of just shifting your hips back and forth. So there's ways to incorporate it to make it functional, knowing that, okay, I'm going to do this day, or I know I have time to do this that day. And try to make it so that way you're still doing what you need to do, but you're also getting that exercise at the same time.
Addison, you've done exactly what I had hoped you would do. And that's get rid of some of the myths and talk in practical ways about things that can be done. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
My guest today has been Addison Lerner-Lentz, who has helped me a great deal and is helping others as well, particularly those who are caregivers who need special care and attention. Until next time, this is Caregiver Assist. I'm Rick Anthony. Take very good care of yourselves